All right, you guys all know what the debrief is, a separate column, so we'll go last.
Can I ask a question first?
You're going to go first.
I just
So
want to
just
ask
make
my
that part of the
question.
debrief.
All right, so, again, like Mike and Jim said, great job. Appreciate everybody's input and help. And I think this thing functioned and worked how it was all intended to. So this is my first ORC, and I think it's one of the first, if not the first, with the owners in here too. So they were very excited and engaged, and I actually was impressed that they stayed focused as long as they did. So I'm glad that we were able to walk through and vet out and flesh out all the concerns that we had going into this thing. 404 heights and some elevation stuff and the core area. So I appreciate everybody working together on that. I know it's not a lot of fun sitting here for all day, but I think it's worked out well. So I'm very pleased too. I know we have this room tomorrow. Is there enough MEP structural stuff going on that we need to do this again for a little bit tomorrow at all, or not necessarily? Just everybody's kind of up and running.
I'm glad plus our project that
Put on hold for this.
It's fine, so.
Okay. But I just didn't know if there's any benefit, or if everybody, it sounds like everybody's far enough along that you're kind of running independent now.
I think we pretty much hashed out everything. Colin and I have to worry about is where the units have to sit. So whatever I got to tweak it. I got the units on there, I just put the schedule in the schedule is enough to do.
Okay.
So once I get the weights to him, we can run and do it. So.
Okay. And then we're going to continue, and you'll get before we hand out the base plan back to the owner, we'll get the 12 spot worked out, so we'll kind of squeeze everything in a little bit, and then Cody or whomever will still continue to work on the elevations.
Right.
Okay. And if there's anything elevation-wise that I can help, or grade bounce off of us, just let us know. But I think you got the general tone on what they want to see kind of at the end of the day. The reception being, again, that's why I asked them that question. Do you really want windows on the first floor? As they said 2 or 3 weeks ago, they didn't really want a whole lot. So we'll have to play with that. Again, kind of like that detail we have at the back of the building here. It has the shape of the window and the finish of the reveal and the lintel, but it's not really windows. So
And it gives them the flexibility
right.
at least until the point that we have the TI to say, okay, yeah, we do have an office there, let's punch it now, and we don't have to redo the elevations altogether.
Well, and Tony and I are talking about this too. We're not going to have separate package anymore for TI.
Are you just going to add it?
This is it.
This is it.
This is it, literally. So this is one stop. We're going to have everything in one package, and then we're done.
Okay.
Everything else is literally wide open. They don't
Okay.
have their systems for different people. Lay out the second floor, for example, first floor.
So they're going to handle anything else.
They'll probably just figure it out after they get CO.
Is that why we added those couple of rooms in the back and the first floor?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. And again, once we got into it, we saw how simple it was. Tony and I talked and said, well, we'll just let it rip as opposed to having 2 separate permits and packages. So
Okay.
they know it's going to take a little bit more time to get a shelf permit set out. Not a whole lot more, but then it's all done. And it's all one package, and it's not like you got to split it out. So
All right.
there's some economies there. We hope.
Yeah,
We'll see.
on their time, yeah.
So that's all I got to say. But again, everybody's done a great job, and sorry about your window frustration.
What are the areas of improvement that you noticed, or what other things can we do to improve upon the process?
Well, me personally, I was a little bit, I shortchanged myself. I was not totally prepared like I thought I was by not having the civil plan, for example. I didn't have this first floor plan, or I didn't have my little sketchy do on the core plan, so I wish that I had that as opposed to phoning around this morning, looking kind of dumb, trying to get that in front of everybody to get it started. But
How about access to a computer?
what do you mean?
Having a laptop.
For your lack of it.
For me, it was more listening and just making sure everybody's paired together, which I know we're all kind of doing that together. So I don't know that I felt naked without having that ability. Having the pointer here once in a while is kind of nice. I think the whole concept is pretty cool to me. So it's nice for me to be able to experience that firsthand. And I think we got a great team here, and we seems to be the right team, and, you know. Sounds like
Andres?
everybody plays together well.
I think one of the things that we probably need to be careful, moving on when we have clients involved in an RC, is how much they get to actually change our model for us. Because we saw it today, we shifted that entire core over to the wall and not thinking enough through before we did that, and then locking ourselves in and having to reduce stuff. If we had thought ourselves about that more on our side before we actually went ahead and edited the model, we'd probably save some time redoing the stairs, you know, a million times. So I think we on our side need to control them a little more and say, let's work it out first, let's make sure that we get a buy-in before we have you change things over and over.
I agree, but part of the stair issue was getting that 4-to-4 height resolved, which we did
Right, and
resolve
but
pretty
besides
close.
that, I think it was the fact that they decided to remove that front area altogether, and
I
we just
agree.
said, oh yes, and then we moved it all, and then we realized, well, now we're creating more issues than we were solving, so I think we probably let them drive the bus there a little too much, and so we need to control that next time around. Besides that, I think the other thing was our usual probably complaint, people leaving the room too much. At certain times we had to chase them, find them. So we still need to work on that. I know I had to go out and find people for a second opinion a couple of times, and that just wastes a lot of time because they were waiting on me for something or they were waiting on somebody else. So if you really want to keep the momentum going, we need to try to make sure that everybody sits here as much as possible. I didn't mind the fact that Bill popped in and out. You know, I think he was very, his interaction was very key when he did, so that was fine. So, but we definitely need somebody representing. You know, at some point, not of our own making, but you know, Cody got pulled out, and then you got pulled out, so then nobody's, you know, modeling architecturally and so forth. So I think we need to make sure that we maintain a presence here. Besides that, I think, like he was saying, everybody did a great job at looking ahead of themselves and making sure that we ask the correct questions so that, you know, we figure out heights and things like that, and we didn't have to do that multiple times. I wish we'd have been a little more insistent on the whole 12-inch blocks. We brought it up from the beginning, but I guess we didn't give them enough reasons for it up front, and we could have settled that from the beginning too, and then done away with that and say, look, this is a rough calculation. You know, if we're gonna be working with certain heights, you're gonna end up with this much more steel versus this, and then just have them like think about that a little more up front and not at tail end like we did today. Would probably be another thing. Since we have him here, especially since he's the one making the calls, since he's the one going to be building. You know, when you have a less engaged client, they might even table it for later and say, yeah, I need to get numbers from somebody else. You know, so then we don't have a choice. Even so, if we really think we deem something to be best practice, in this case, the 12-inch is really going to save us because, you know, we're going to have a lot of openings and we're going to end up with a lot of piers and this and that, then I think we need to try to make sure that we educate them up front a little more so that we don't end up, like, again, on the tail end trying to patch things up. What else? I don't know. I think everything else went pretty well. The guys, like I said, like Kit said, seemed to be pretty involved. They had answers to most of our questions, except for a couple right now that we're waiting on. But that was just expected. Nevertheless, those are the questions that I think we had foreseen already anyway, and I'm not sure if either we didn't give them enough time to look into them, or maybe we didn't press on them enough the importance of it. So maybe these utilities coming into the building, we know that's a given. We need to maybe press on our clients when they come in to come up with that information before the ORC.
It was nice having that because I agree, a lot of times that's not even done yet.
Right. So, yeah, that's my take on it, I think.
Zeno?
I think this one went very well, this one group. So, I don't have anything to do with any other new stuff.
Was there anything that wasn't here that you needed?
No, I was good. All
Was
I
your-
can-
Was your speed okay?
Yeah, all I really need to do is, for critical thinking, just make sure I have enough space to put the entire horizon into the room and I got that done.
Were you waiting on architecture at any point?
No, because I was the one that drew that box outside of the model, so at least we could get, if we get a rough dimension of how much area I would need. for my
It's a minimum,
spaces.
right? I think what we gave is luxurious.
Okay.
That's just my thing.
Cody?
The good, I really liked that the client was here. There's a lot of things that typically either we have to come up with our own decisions because, you know, we're the architects and designers. But it was nicer to have the client actually here to come up with those decisions. And we can show them the different things. I like that, you know, when we did have questions, they were right here to answer it and it wasn't a, well, I don't know, or want to come back with you. I felt like hopefully we'll have more like that, more one rooms like that. On the I guess you could say constructive side, I understand that, you know, we do have lots of other projects, but even for myself, like I didn't like having to leave.
Yeah.
To, you know, take care of things.
Takes you out of it, yeah.
And I don't know what we can do about that, especially because, you know, we have so many other things going on. But, yeah, with the clients there and everything, and me, you know, I just, personally, I felt kind of bad that I had to continue to get out and either print something or get something situated, and other projects, in other words. But, I don't know, maybe if, I guess in the perfect world, if we could minimize that and get everything situated beforehand, you know, that would be the only constructive criticism that I would really say.
And that should have been managed. I asked Tony a couple times, can we steal somebody else to do this? Can we get somebody else to do it? I mean, to the point where he was like, have Cody go out and put those sets. They gotta go out. And I said, no, nobody's here. You know, I can't take Cody away. And then he said, well, send Derek. I said, no, they can go out. They need to be working here. So I had to go and do it myself. I don't mind doing it, but again, I'm also not here. Things are going on. If you have a question, not that I'm indispensable, but if you have a question, I'm not here.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you 100%. And that should have been managed beforehand to make sure that whatever else might have impacted today, that was already being handled by somebody else. I mean, we have plenty of people in the office. I'm sure somebody can take care of it.
And kind of to that point.
Not on your side.
Kind of to that point, I mean, you know, the owner was expected to show up at 8, you know, me personally, I kind of wish everybody had been in the room all together 5-10 minutes ahead of time, just so we could kind of walk through some of that stuff in advance. You know, we
That's
worked
not
around
me.
it.
I thought they were showing up at 9. Not,
Okay.
yeah, I actually was
It's not
saying,
criticism, I just.
no, but I'm
think it
saying,
might
I
help
thought
in
they
the
were supposed to be here at 9, and we were supposed to be here at 8 to do the setup. I was very surprised to see them here at 8.
Okay.
For one thing, so that probably addresses your thing, because I don't know if they thought the same thing, but I thought the owner was coming in at 9, because usually our one would start from 9 to whatever, we come in earlier to set up. So I was
See,
surprised to
I
see
kept
them.
hearing 8, so that's why
Okay.
the invite was sent out.
And so I had to run over to Orlando too to get my stuff, and then when I came out, I said, oh crap, I thought they were coming later, so, yeah, alright, I agree.
Good code?
Yeah, good.
Question for you. How was your speed? You remoted into your box in the morning, and then you wound up working directly from that laptop. Want to tell us about that?
Directly from the laptop was a lot better. Oh, well, I mean, I'm in Orlando too now, so
Okay.
for me to remote, it has to go back to Orlando too, then come back here. And then the project is right now is in the X drive, which is here.
Right.
So it makes
So-
no sense.
So yeah, so anytime I sync to Central, it has to go back to my computer in Orlando too.
And then come back here to save
And
the
then
later.
back, just so I can, so I decided the best idea, he showed me is close out of my computer over there, just work here. It's already connected and these laptops already have
Right.
what I need.
And we got that direct connect that we talked about the other day on the report, right?
I was wondering if we got it
So you can't tell.
or not. I wasn't.
It-
Okay.
Syncing for me was a lot better. It was better.
Well, but that's something to take away too, to make sure that that's.
Well, you were working local. Local is local.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than local.
Sorry, you got both.
So,
But that's my point.
I don't know that we got to get to this.
Yeah.
But anyway,
But again, that's another thing to make sure IT folks or whoever sets that up next time can ensure that we, and this setup may occur in Orlando too, in any given point in the future, so.
I mean, and it's a good point, because if we ever do one room in Orlando too, we gotta make sure that the model lives on Dublin Drive. We don't want then everybody remoting to, or syncing to a drive over here when we're local over there, you know? So we have to think about those things.
John, lay it on us, good, bad, and ugly.
It's gonna be all awkward for them.
No, I mean, we came in with the questions, they were here. I mean, I helped out, I mean, obviously, it's still, they changed their mind, they told us they wanted it to look like this, obviously, they're like, no, we want gas RTs now.
Yeah,
So it's like,
that one threw me
I
off
was
too, I'm
like,
like, oh, where did that come from?
yeah, so I'm like, okay, so now that's another thing I gotta adjust for now. I mean, the worst part too is, no sketches, so we could have had an idea at least where we could have gone with chases first. That would have helped a little bit instead of trying to sit there and play around with all the different scenarios.
Right.
Ahead of time. Hopefully next time we get that, some of those little things
Work out.
situated.
Well, I mean, I know we talked a little bit about
I understand we did,
on
there was
gas
no,
first, but.
right, it's like anything else, it's, a lot of it's, no time to do it, and doesn't have other things to do, and it happens. Nothing, these will never be perfect, no matter how you slice it, there's always gonna be missing pieces that, this and that.
Yeah, but I agree, I mean, these are all lessons learned, and I agree, like I say, some of that was my fault for not being better prepared coming into this thing this morning, but.
I mean, like I said,
I don't think we spent on those
thankfully,
too much.
no, I mean, we kinda got in, it's like, look, this is what we need to do, let's test some stuff out. There was that one point where they started, like, hey, let's start moving all this stuff, and it's like, well, you can do that, but what about this piece? And they're like, oh crap, so then you have to go back and redesign, figure out, oh crap, we gotta go here now. So, I am kinda concerned that after we get this permitted, that they gotta come back and beat the hell out of this thing. Cause all I kept hearing was the cheap thing, and I'm just like, oh, we're not gonna be held responsible for that.
I don't,
So,
No, because they're their own, they're the owner agency.
and that's fine, if they wanna do that after the fact.
And I agree.
You don't wanna sit there and start saying that,
right.
and you're trying to design something like, no, I want the cheapest thing possible, like. Why even put forth
Why am I here? Yeah, I know.
So.
I mean, there is an advantage of those guys being self-performed GCs too.
Yeah.
So, they can handle a lot of stuff on their own, after the fact, during the fact, whatever,
Yeah,
so.
and that's up to them, they can hash that out. I just try to at least do it at least the best I can first time, so very minimal stuff that they gotta come back and they don't have to mess up on us. Or we have to fix. So it's like everything else, this is probably about the furthest we've been, the one I've been in, the furthest along that we've gotten.
But do you think that's attributed to the owners being here to kind of help nudge?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is
I think
this is
so.
the first time that the owners were actually here, they were actually proactive to it.
So,
All the other ones, it was promised or.
so does that kind of keep you guys more focused and more engaged and active, or? Just
Well,
asking questions.
I kept running out to go ask Joe, because I'm like, they changed these parameters, this is now where this is what I'm thinking is they approach it with this. Right. So I was trying to get a hold of him, but he wasn't responding, so I was like, let me just go upstairs and ask him. So that's what I was trying to get for, I was like, look, this is what I'm doing, this is what I plan to do. You go with it, to me, it makes it work, it's like, so.
Yeah.
It's having those immediate answers to our questions, because like Cody mentioned before, a lot of these, they'll tell us and then we can't get the guys on the phone, so we have to wait until later, and then they have to make assumptions. And all these assumptions is what usually either gets us in trouble or makes us do rework. But this time, they just did it. I mean, you would have assumed regular electrical RTUs and everything.
Yeah,
I would have too, that whole.
When they told me, it's like.
It's obvious, you assume everything.
So I'm thinking electric water heaters, electric
Right.
lids, now they're like, no, I want
Gas.
outdoor gas.
You're like, gas what?
Gas.
Gas everything.
That's what I'm like, what?
Yeah,
So that kind of threw me off.
So that's big,
But like I said, that's a big, to me, that was a big change, because, I mean, granted, it helps electrical with radio, but now I've got to reconfigure, now I got to figure out, now I got a gas pipe that's going to be exposed, you've got all these other features that affect, your, the look of the architecture. So, you know.
We can probably use this building for lead man, it's gonna be super energy efficient, man. We're gonna have LED lighting, gas units, great insulation.
Well, I don't know, let's not get carried away. We still have flush valves in there and everything, so.
We got,
Then-
we
then
have,
have,
we have an EPDM roof. with-
They didn't ask for low flow urinals and all that?
No,
They were just,
Not yet.
I can,
Not yet.
they're not going to, come on.
no, I don't
They,
think so
they,
either.
We're good?
they've already got it.
Yeah, they want it to be utilitarian, so it's gonna flush out anything that the
That's like I
landscape
said, that's
guys
why I asked.
throw in there.
Where-
Yes,
It's like-
exactly. I'm trying to be nice about it, but you know.
Exactly. What they did kind of worry me about is I hope they don't get big with the city when they started talking about storing paints and all that other stuff. So
That'll be at that other building altogether.
I hope it's.
It's a totally separate building now. Yeah, I'm gonna stay out of that one.
Yeah, we're not gonna label anything in our plans
Right.
about what exactly is stored.
My one concern, I understand that they're gonna put in, linens and stuff like that, they want maximum height. Did we get an idea of where, like shelving and stuff that they're gonna use?
No,
No,
Cause
They
I
don't
know,
know.
cause like I said.
well, that's why I was kind of suggesting, at least bringing up the concept of them using shelving as opposed to racking, because racking does bring up a whole set of different issues with the building department.
Right, yeah.
And you know, it's up to them how they want to do it, but, you know, sometimes owners come back after CO and kind of do their own thing.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
You know,
just-
I
but
just
I know
wanna,
what
I
you're
just wanna
saying.
make sure I satisfy where they need to
Right,
and not hit
right.
any of their stuff, so.
Now, I think part of that had to do with that conversation about bringing that 4-to-4 height down too. They said, okay, we get it, we know that we're not supposed to stack above 10 feet, 12 feet, whatever it is now, so.
and when they were going with the whole 14, that threw me off when they said, oh yeah, we don't have pallet jacks or, you know, it's like, so why do you need something so high?
It's the shelving,
Yeah.
which they may store up higher at some point in time. But I was listening to their commodities and how it's not, you know, it's not like it's encapsulated, and that's why I was asking them, you know, are your linens, there's that flammable, not flammable stuff impregnated in the material, and, you know, things like that. You know, everything else is like toasters and microwaves and TVs. You know, I think from a commodity standpoint, I don't think that's gonna raise too many flags. The
No.
linens, maybe, but
Right, but that's
But
landscape.
that part of it's gonna be handled by the fire sprinkler guy anyways.
Right.
Good, John?
Good.
Tom? Good, bad, and the inflection of what you saw, and because you're new, we like to pick on new people because we've not been part of this process, anything that you noticed is valuable here. Even the little things or the big things. Anything that you thought went well, or it's a neat thing that we've done. Yeah, as much as you can share.
Well, I was happy we prepped it and I think we did got some basic stuff down, for
yes.
sure. I think we got lucky with the owner that we had, so we could just see something, make a decision and move on. I don't think that would happen every time.
It doesn't, and just a little interjection, that, you know, it was somewhat of a chance, but Tony and I both saw and kind of perceived that from, you know, Mike, a couple times we met him, and we felt that this would be successful, which is why our proposal was kind of geared this way too, based on ORC, because they seemed to know what they wanted, and they seemed to be pretty actively engaged, and they've been around the block.
It's almost like having the GC and the owner in there.
Right. But I agree, typically, I don't know that I would expect that from every owner in the future. You know, some are more engaged than others.
Andre, or Andre?
Yeah.
Trey? Yeah.
That works.
Yeah, to your point about the block though, I think it would have been good to have Bill or Brett or whoever's signing off on this in the initial meeting.
Yeah.
Because the structural system got decided and then they just kind of got told without like being in the meeting at all and at least being there for the discussion. So I think that would have been good, because that's definitely a part that would have come up. As soon as Bill heard about this 12-inch block is what we wanted, 8-inch block is what we got. And it seems to be getting there, they're pretty well stuck on that. They came around, which is nice.
Right.
But, yeah, that could have been figured out, I think.
Okay.
From the get-go.
Well, and again, just not being that's a bit more an way of explanation. The original concept was we're taking our building, which is 8-inch block with a pilaster, but floor heights are a little bit different. So
They
that's,
throw our floor heights really
Right.
late into the conversation.
right, so that's how that kind of evolved a little bit. So I think that a little bit higher, probably helped facilitate the 12-inch block, but that's where we started from, trying to get them to an example, and they, we're using our office as a prime example as far as details and structure and all that. So that's really where that whole thing started from. So it wasn't, we weren't trying to avoid or talk them out of 8-inch block. It just, I think, kind of evolved because of the additional floor height, as an example.
My last thing then is just like, if I could have started, I mean, I didn't have the time, John didn't have the time. If we could have started the day before, not everybody necessarily meeting together, and then meet up, and it's just like, where are you at, let's put it together, and then let's find the issues. Because I feel like a lot of the time for me, I was trying to work with whoever I could, but for me, I had to basically make my model from scratch, load it, analyze it, and then put it in. Like, it got done, it was great, but if I had done that yesterday, I'd thrown it in, and then he's like, oh, I need this spacing or something like that.
But, let me just ask a question, but if we had done that,
Would you be sitting there on idle then?
well,
Well, I don't
but would we have jumped too far ahead and had to go back and tweak or revise a whole bunch of stuff? And again, I don't know.
That's fair, I mean, I don't know, this is my first one, so I'm just from where I sit, it's just,
No, so there's,
I
as you
had
said,
had my
Yeah.
head down, and I was working on the W drive, because I needed reset, and that was painful. So that's what I enjoyed any program.
so it needs to be local for you.
Or if this I technically didn't look if this laptop had resun. I just assumed that since, the new.
But it could. And it will.
There you go.
Okay.
Because if I could just work locally, that'd be great, but it definitely isn't.
What else did you notice about the room? About ORC? What did you learn about ORC?
Things move pretty quick. I felt bad that I had to leave, but I had a few things I had to take care of, and then when I came back, everything was still moving forward pretty well, which was nice. I just hope I didn't hold anything up.
Would you endorse the process? Or no? You think that there's other ways to do it better? How can we change things to work better?
I can see how it works, like Eddie's team structurally, that's what I have to go off of. He works in retail all the time. So he can look at a column and he can tell you pretty much what the size of that column is gonna be, depth of the joists. So it's not gonna be perfect, but for a team that works in retail all the time, you can do retail. This is the first office building I think we've done structurally in-house.
In a while, we've done others, but it's been.
Yeah, but at least for Bill's team,
Right.
and me, never done an office, so.
Double learning.
But
Yeah.
it's basically, but there are other retail examples that I think are similar, where you've got, maybe retail here, office upstairs.
Yeah, but when it comes to loading at 180 to 100 PSF,
Versus, right.
well, it's also, there's always all these little notes that's like, oh, well, because usually it's 50 PSF, but if there's partitions, you add 15 to dead, and then you also have your additional live, and it's just, I'm happy Bill was here in the beginning, and he was just like 100, can we agree on that?
Yeah,
Or move on.
Which is fine, I think, and the owner's fine with that, it gives them a lot more flexibility.
Yeah, so I can see how this is perfect for retail and it worked. I mean, we're not complaining at all. I'm just saying if it was gonna be a streamlined machine, there'd be a team retail, and team office or something like that. And then we do it.
Cool. I appreciate all you guys' input. That's great. That's how we grow this. That's how we get better at it and all that. One of the things I want to mention about the debrief that I'd like to see when we do debriefs in the future, we gotta have everybody's attention for just a quick second. When we do the debrief, whenever somebody goes to have their turn to talk, allow them to finish what they have to say. No rebuttals of any kind. Give them their time to express whatever their thoughts are in their entirety. And then if there's a conversation to be had about it, then delve into that. But let's not interrupt when we get to that. That's each person's personal time to really get it, because we don't want to hinder that, because you really want a raw opinion as it's going to come out. We don't want to mold it via a conversation. We really want to just see what somebody has to say and give them that time and space to say whatever it's good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. No need to defend it or endorse it, just let it be. One of the other things is, this was new for us. I don't know what your guys' thoughts were on this. I mean, is it the best system? I don't know, but I'd be interested to hear what you had to say about that setup.
I mean, the only people that were really looking at it was the client to see where you guys were at. Anybody else is looking at their own machine and maybe looking over the shoulder, from what I saw.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was easier, I'm sure the setup was easier than us trying to get that maybe more, projectors, but mostly, yeah, I was looking at.
One of the things I noticed today is that we didn't have the internal conversations like we do in some of the other ORCs, and I don't know if some of you guys might have felt that, but I know like when we had them without the client, there's a whole lot more amongst us than there was today. And I felt like, I don't know if it's intended to be that way, because the client's here, you're really focused with them, and you're really trying to keep up with what they're saying, so there's not a lot of this. And I really wonder, is it like one or the other? Can you really do both? Maybe you can't. It's just too much.
It gets too loud, it gets
Right.
too disruptive,
Yeah.
so I think people were kind of pacing themselves.
Yeah, but I agree, I think people are trying to listen in over here, and.
I was just busy trying to keep up with my little piece with it. So, and I think with everybody doing that, I don't know, it's an interesting, I thought that's my takeaway from today, is, wow, I didn't see that coming. And I was really, I don't wanna say impressed, but just in awe that it really tilted, and the conversation was with the client, with each of us,
Right,
and not us as a team and the client. Not that that's good or bad, I mean, it is what it is, just, I thought that was an observation, I was,
Yeah.
I don't know, it was interesting. The other thing I wanted to bring up was, what would you say if we sold an ORC for a additional amount of money that came at a very nice price? And the client bought our time, end of story. He bought it. He bought a full day of your ass and a seat. End of story, he paid for it.
They really came in now, so it's.
And if they paid that premium, could we deliver?
Well, I know that our proposal is based on, I mean, it specifies in there, based on the owner's involvement with an ORC.
But that's only because of our time, not because.
Right, that has to do with
Bill.
time.
It was short on scheduling this, and we didn't get an additional fee to have,
No, I know that.
they didn't pay for AIS.
No. But I personally, I think you need a lot of information up front to make that successful. Like if you told them, yes, I'm gonna deliver you a 70% set by the end of the day or something like that, if you already have sheets set up and then all we're doing is populating information.
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying if you sold ORC, not just architecture and stuff, if they paid a premium for this.
I don't think you have,
I don't think you have to
you have
wait
to
in
label it
front
as
of.
a premium.
Right, I think
I
it's
think you
very,
can label it as a face. So instead of like, when you're doing a breakdown, instead of doing SD and DD, you just say ORC.
right,
So we assign 10 grand to SD and DD, if we assign 10 grand to
they
ORC.
don't have to know that there's an added cost to that per se.
Right.
You know, because it's a perception thing too. You know, it's,
So what we're doing is just replacing standard faces, architectural faces in the process.
right.
Because we're skipping all that.
And I'm not disagreeing that maybe there is a true value to that, I know there is, but.
There's been discussions of a boutique scenario with certain clients where we could sell, the difference being it'd be soup to nuts.
Right.
You'd be in here for 70 days, whatever it is, soup to nuts.
Oh, you're saying to
They're
deliver the
buying
entire,
ORC.
okay. So you're saying not just for SD and DD, you're
They're
saying for
buying
SD, DD and CDs. And then when they walk out of here after however many days, they have a permit set.
But again, I think the fees
Okay.
could potentially be adjusted for that. I don't know that you would wave in front of them saying, hey, this is your.
No, we
premium.
absolutely would. The thought, I'm asking the question from the point of view of, we brought up the idea
Right.
as a boutique thing, this one little thing for some clients, if they paid for it, could we deliver? That's the question.
I don't think any of our schedules allow for that.
That's gonna be, yeah.
None of our schedules allow for that.
That's my question to hear from you guys.
Yeah, because I mean, here's an example today where we all, including myself, had to pop out periodically for various reasons, you know, for other,
I think you have that amount of time.
It's just,
So the client couldn't pay enough money to have you sit in the seat for 7 days.
I think it'd be tough.
Compared to how many projects are going on.
I mean, if you got 15 shit retails for $3,000 and this guy comes in and he's willing to drop a dime,
Well,
I mean,
you gotta remember,
And this isn't something you can answer now. If
No,
we
no, I
always
know.
go back, I'm interested to hear about, is that a possibility?
Like I said, if I'm stuck here, that means I gotta pass on those
Right.
additional projects to everybody else that's currently overloaded, so
Right.
now I'm gonna overload them even more,
Right.
which isn't fair to them.
You almost need a dedicated team just for doing ORCs if that was the case.
Right.
Well, my concern is deliverables.
Yeah.
Because if ORC works on us having the information, but like with me and Duke might wanna get back to me in a week, sometimes it takes them a month.
Then you're screwed.
So, I just don't think I can guarantee
Right.
with outside, contractors and stuff coming in, that I can guarantee everything done by certain days.
Okay. That's good input.
Yeah.
The other thing I got a question of is, and this is the big one for everybody, so please chime in on this one. How are we gonna do this project? We are now split between two offices. I know that engineering doesn't wanna see it go to W. And I know that architecture doesn't wanna see it on the X. How are we gonna do
Well,
this? How do we
and hold on,
create
because yes, that would be the case for most of it, but we're split half and half now. You have engineering and structural on one side, and mechanical and electrical on this side.
Yeah, but the thing is, we can do like we did for Trilogy, just link in.
it? And how well did that work for Trilogy?
That worked fine, I just have to reload it.
Maybe from one perspective. Overall, that
See, whenever it's just one trade, the one that has to suffer, is probably an easy call. Keep it wherever the most trades reside. But if it's split in half and half, how do you determine if it stays on one side or the other?
Well, I wanna throw this out. There's multiple ways to go about this. There's separate models,
Mhm.
not a big fan. There is live on one side and somebody else suffers, depending on the workload. If you have less man hours to put in
Right.
the next upcoming portion, whoever has the less will probably suffer the most.
Right.
There's some other debacles that can be done with technology, but I don't think they're good calls because we keep them.
I haven't got a
long.
straight answer on why multiple models are a bad thing,
You have to keep updating.
Multiple
Just
models
like
are not a
extras.
bad thing.
okay?
They're not a bad thing.
So
They're
what-
just different.
Where do we go wrong? Why do people hate them when they do hate them?
So I'm gonna reemphasize the fact that it's not better or worse, it's just
Okay.
different.
Okay, but something keeps people away from them. This is what I keep hearing from everybody. I don't kinda wanna do that.
When
So
you
what
do
is-
separate models,
Mhm.
there is additional work that must be done.
Okay,
That additional work is in maintaining coordination. Whether it's through the individual tools in Revit, like copy, monitor, two separate things where, for instance, for E, let's say that there was an E model and an A model. And E needed to host to a set of walls or something like that. E, correct me if I'm wrong, jump in here anytime you want, yeah. There's the wall in the architecture model.
Mhm.
She goes to link that in. In order to actually utilize that wall, she would have to do what's called copy. And it would copy that wall and put it directly on top of our wall.
why? Why can't you
Hold on,
host to the other one?
Hold on.
Wow.
And then you have to use another tool called monitor, which basically says,
Monitor is a copy.
no, it's
So
two
if
separate
it gets
pieces.
moved,
You copy it,
wow.
so you got two things on top of it, and then the one tracks when the other one is moving or updating and throws a warning at you that, hey,
It moved.
something's going on.
So why doesn't it link like the actual model? Why doesn't it bring the actual other model in?
It does,
But why do you have to copy it to host it?
because it needs to have the ability
If you
to,
can't host to a link, then
You know, you can't host to a link, so that's the problem. That's a big bad thing.
like I can't host my.
So it's not like AutoCAD where you bring in an extra, you can still snap to that extra.
you can still snap to it too.
Yeah, but you
But
can't host it.
Can't host to it.
And hosting this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, so again, it's not wrong or right, it's just different.
Right.
You can do it all day long.
What
You
about
can do it
Nav-
successfully.
what is it, Navisworks or what, how does that interface with this?
Navis is not a production tool,
It's only for checking?
and quantity takeoff.
Okay.
So it fits the workflow in a different area.
Okay.
It's not mainstream production.
So the problem is this whole hosting, so even though you have links and you can snap to it, you can't host to it, so then you have to make copies. And so when you start making copies, you gotta keep track of the copies.
Imagine.
property money.
And it can be done successfully. Problem is, you gotta have the teams work together for a while. Really has good I can anticipate what Zena's gonna do, she can anticipate what I'm gonna do, and we know the workflow.
Otherwise, they move all your walls and you're.
And she works with 100 freaking teams here, and each one's gonna do it different, so it's always gonna be difficult. That's a problem. And even in the best of cases, you're not able to anticipate the workflow. So it gets difficult, and that, it's already more management. Now we're gonna take that more management that could be seamless and make it a pain, because I just can't predict what's going on. So that's where, and then the utopia again is, I got way less management when I have a single model, and we're all in the same model, so the updates are much more fluid. It does require management in other areas, for instance, making sure that when somebody puts something in, it goes on the right work set. It's not turning on 1,000 things in somebody else's view. You almost need to do that anyways, though.
Okay, so now that I understand that side,
That's one piece.
let me throw something real quick. So this office, I think, has a dedicated T5 connection. That the other office, I'm gonna throw something out there and just say is less than a T5, right? So you have a server on both sides. It seems like if you have to host something off-site, that this office would have a harder time tapping onto that drive because of the higher bandwidth connection
I believe that to be a true statement.
than backwards.
Currently, I haven't benchmarked that.
Hence, it would make more sense to host things on the W drive and have these people tap into that one. Because when we're working backwards, we're working on a smaller bandwidth connection and trying to tap into these offices.
That's a possible.
That is my understanding of it without knowing the specifics. If that were the case, I would suggest that if that were the case, then that's the way we would handle the model, the one model.
I'd be interested to hear what Zena and John think about how we should move forward and how you guys would like to see the model.
Like I said, I didn't have a problem having a weekend with Trojan. I didn't have a problem.
So you're saying separate models? That's your recommendation? Okay. Zena?
I'm gonna vote for the same thing just because of, being able to coordinate.
So you're voting separate models. There's another option. Let's host it in the cloud.
But then everybody's screwed.
No, not at all. Because it actually, hosting in the cloud means something completely different. Hosting in the cloud means that there's this, instead of one central file, there's two. There's one in the cloud, there's one on X, and there's one on W. And so we both go to this local X or W, and then while we're doing that, it's actually self-maintaining back to the cloud, back and forth.
Oh, really?
So it's doing all this behind the scenes to this other piece that's talking.
And we know that it's pretty seamless? Because I
We
heard
have not
otherwise.
purchased it because other people have different mixed feelings. There's people in the office that all have different things.
That's what I
So we're
heard
not-
otherwise, so.
That's a
I thought the
possibility.
cloud model was basically the model lives in the cloud completely and you don't have anything local. So now you're, again, dependent to your own bandwidth to the cloud.
But in the most smallest sense of a summary, it has accelerators. So the only thing that's going up and down, unlike what we do,
It's just changing.
is the physical, only the change.
Okay.
Because right now, this is going with the change and checking for updates and doing all this other stuff. All that's cut out when you do that process.
You know, and I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for this, but
I already hate you.
we just need to block anything that is unnecessary. Because right now we're eating up bandwidth with Pandora and Netflix and
That's already
Hulu
been, that's already been blocked, buddy.
and not on the other side.
This side.
And we're trying to tap into the same network to get to the other side. So we have all these people just looking at movies and while we're trying to, refresh a model, which is ridiculous. So I know that's not a popular thing, but
I want to bring up a third option. And I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say, especially Zena and John. Playing with this over there with the Walmart team right now, and it's yielding decent results. Haven't played with it long enough to make some kind of decisive decision on what my opinion is, but if we manage really well with work sets, which is possible, and I think we do a decent job, you know that you can open up only the work sets that you want, thus not loading a whole bunch of the model, thus making it a whole lot faster. And this is a big model to start with. I would be interested if we could try that for some short period of time, maybe a week,
Before you split the models.
before we split the model. So if we put it on W, and I'd really love to hear what your thoughts are. If you intentionally make sure that you open up with only the work sets that you need, how fast does it run?
See how much you slow down.
Even if it's good, I want to know by how much. Is it really, really good? Is it like seamless, like nothing's ever happened, or it's okay, I can deal with it? I'd love to know, yeah, just where we stand.
Just,
Because this isn't gonna be the only one that's gonna do this. We're gonna have a lot of this moving forward, so we gotta come up with a solution.
yeah.
Well, just a question, I've tried that before, and the only issue I ran into it was, with the model updating, if you have that work set closed, you might work all day long and not realize things are moving.
That's a solid thought. Okay.
Well, no, I'm not disagreeing with it. What happened was that I had 3 architects conjoined in one model,
Mhm.
and it was so big, we shut off work sets. With me and 3 different architects, I had 3 different people moving things all the time, so then when I would turn back on, I'm like, well, this is all on. So my concern is that, you know, if we close off and we're not seeing what the other's doing, you know,
Maybe we gotta make sure we only do certain work, like, could you kill structural? I bet you could kill structural work set. Because that's probably unrelated. I mean, you still have all the walls, all the floors, I mean, nothing that they're doing is gonna matter to you. And maybe we need to restructure our work sets in a manner that allows us to have more stuff turned off and on and work that workflow.
Without hosing the whole thing.
Yeah. Maybe we gotta restructure that whole thing. I don't know, those are just my thoughts. Anyways,
But they're more than thoughts. I mean, this is a reality that we have to face.
Yeah.
So we gotta make a decision at some point.
I would like to see the decision be, it goes to W and we try the work sets. And then if we can get immediate feedback, let's change the work set structure.
Yeah. And then if it really
If it
doesn't
comes down
work,
to it, we'll split it.
you can always split it, right?
And I wanna
You
advocate
can
this.
always split it, but it's hard to go back.
Yes, going back is,
It's harder.
I will say this, we've learned this, and I hands down believe this, that if you're going to split a model, you can start in the world where you have your 3 separate models, and then they're all interlinked, and all the stuff that goes on to get that to work. What I think we found works best is when you start out, everybody's in one model, up to an assigned point.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that be size, which is what we've often done in the past. When we get to 100, 150 megs, way before it ever gets bad,
It's about file size.
yes,
Okay.
we split. We could also go SD, we could also pick a phase and then break out. Because you can do a lot of work up here when it's not that messed up, and then break out.
So you break out as CDs or something.
Because you get a whole lot of stuff done without all that extra management. And then if you're forced, LA Fitness was the one where we developed that one.
Yeah, because really, in theory, you should only keep a single model until you go through DVDs. The problem is that people's concept of CDs in this office is a little skewed. So they don't realize that, you know, they can't tell where SD finishes and DV finishes and CDs start. You know, by the time you're ready for CDs, most of this stuff is already worked out, so there shouldn't be many changes. CDs are really just a detail in of each
It
thread,
should be a byproduct.
right? So at that point, if your model is not changing much, it shouldn't affect much if you're splitting it. You know?
All that copy monitor stuff, most of that kind of stuff should be kind of wrapped up, but, man, I don't know, there's some nuances.
Right.
I don't know.
I would, as a follow-up, if you would, Derek, you're over the other side, never mind, I thought you were still here. Talk to Jay about the bandwidth on each office. Because you really, if you truly we have a lesser bandwidth there, it just makes sense to move stuff over to the W drive.
We need to do some benchmark tests.
Because here's the other thing, we used to have more people here and less people there, so maybe that argument was not as valid. Because yeah, you had a bigger bandwidth shared with more people. Now we have about the same amount of people in both offices. So now if this office has a better bandwidth with the same amount of people, it clearly has a advantage over Orlando too.
But the problem is they know about the issues and
Well, the problem right now is that supposedly we've been broke for 3 or 4 months running, so.
We're not upgrading technologies, but we need to find a way around them. I know
Yes.
if we have the facts,
Workflow.
we can figure out a way around it. We just
Work
need to have the
sets,
facts.
whatever there's 100 things. Yeah. And if there ever does become furniture or anything in this model for any reason or all that other stuff, that should be acceptable. All that artsy-fartsy shit should go to another model.
Yeah, except for the
I'm-
boxes down.
yeah. There's no reason for that to get in the way of production. And here's another thought, I don't know, it kind of checks my ass, I'm sure it does somebody else in here too. We can't color our own building. I think we got the skills to color some buildings.
And
And I think, I'm just saying this, Keith, when we wrap up, we should color the damn building regardless.
I agree.
We should throw it in Lumion,
It's something to look at.
maybe not spend a ton of time.
Right.
I mean, but I think we should give them something to show them that,
I know.
by the way, here's a, you know, you can throw it away, but just so that you know, we have the ability in-house to do that.
No, and they're aware of that, and I think, and I was debating whether to say something or not. My takeaway was that they've got a color person that handles color for all their different product types, which encompasses a lot of stuff. It's not just this one little micro area. So it's, you know, they do a lot of stuff. They're doing a lot of, you know, multifamily retail and, you know, different, they're working on water park, blah, blah, blah. So I think they're trying to get some continuity with whoever this person is or vendor they work with. That's,
It's not the people out in California?
No.
That are kicking our
that,
ass?
that's, yeah, that's a different, different topic,
Okay.
group and location altogether.
The other thing I wanna bring up is, we didn't do anything with QTO. I mean, today to me, it felt very reactive. I mean, I was just behind from the second that I walked in this morning, we were behind.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
had to set up the room, had to get everything pulled together.
I'm not against, yeah, I think that the timing, that we definitely need to be here an hour before the time, absolutely, so I don't wanna.
We should
do that
lag the
before time.
client by some amount.
Yeah, but, yeah, the keeping track of that shows them that we're not just doing this haphazardly, and shows them that we have, you know, things in place, so we should probably have gone back to that. I think we need to manage that too. That's a good point.
That is also an available machine. We were stopped today because of the mouse and the keyboard
They're dead.
with brand new batteries.
You
Now,
know,
we searched high enough, we found batteries.
sound batteries finally,
It took about 45 minutes, but we found batteries.
but then that won't work that far away.
But it won't reach from there to there, but you walk over to the machine, it'll work like a champ.
Well, something's wrong.
Yeah, how about we cut
That's a
that?
cheap piece of crap.
Wow. Well, they probably put these in a lead container. So, you know, it's completely like X-ray proof and everything proof.
It's marketing events.
But the dongle is in the back of the machine. So, anyway.
You need to bring it down to the front.
You turn it down.
Yeah. So, doesn't matter.
There were comments, I'm sure, all through the room.
Well, he's it's David from New York 911.
Mhm.
Ever watch that show?
I know of the show, I have not watched it.
He's a squirrely guy that wears like the super short shorts and that stuff.
He's got the.
It's not Lieutenant Diane.
I'm good.
Alright.
But and here's the other thing, we didn't use the whole day. We were done at 2:45.
Yeah, no,
I mean, that's always a good thing. You don't wanna be here until 7 every time.
No, I know, but I was kind of worried too, because I was expecting to go to, you know, 5, 6, 7, whatever, and I'm like, okay, did we miss something?
And we definitely could. I was struggling, like, no doubt today, I was struggling.
No, but I think we got,
My day got flipped.
I think we got
What's with that?
what we wanted to accomplish.
Another one of my great issues. I got some kind of virus on my box. So no wonder she's dropping out. I can't
Well,
find
if you wouldn't watch Netflix, you wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah, how about that?
About that.
How about that? You're a decent watch dates and things.
So who's working on this project? 'Cause I was
Cody
here.
and I.
You're gonna wrap up the whole thing?
architectural.
So
So
Kyle's,
Cody's gonna wrap this architectural.
okay, so Kyle's, so just my knowledge too, so Kyle won't be involved?
No, Kyle got taken off, he's moving on to some different.
Okay, that's fine. So, Cody, you still here, or you over there?
We're all over there now. He's,
Well, if
he's
you ever-
used to this, I mean, this is not a lot more work than he's used to. And
Oh,
he's
this?
got, yeah, and he's got, time, which is not
Oh,
uncommon.
that's it.
I mean,
So-
besides a couple of, different little code things, like as far as the,
Yeah, I mean, the only difference is that we're 2 stories in there, 1, the rest is all mostly standard detailing, and plus detailing that we already have from our office that we're going
Which
to
again is-
translate over, so.
Poland, too, so.
Do you realize,
You know that's not gonna happen, right? You understand?
we can look at it.
We can look at it for
Well, they easy
preference.
to go by.
We'll do that.
What not to do.
Go by.
what not to do?
This is the ugly stick that you measure everything with.
Yes.
So who's working on, the other one for you? 215, 190?
Do.
Okay.
Yes, you did, though.
So, you're working on this alone? You got this from here out?
2 weeks. Tight, like that.
Is there anything else that you need help with? I mean, you can get it all there?
And I need time to sit down and actually run calc information. Grease doesn't work, header calc is like rule of thumb, so we run.
Did
that.
we even get Joyce bearing heights?
Yeah, I thought we did.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know we talked about clear spaces.
Yeah.
Didn't we get Joyce bearing heights? Did we get top? I mean, we got elevations with parapets. Did we ever coordinate the Joyce bearing with the parapet? Is it enough? And
Well, I mean, it's just whatever lens, I don't think they care.
We're solving this.
okay, with that, but I hear, are we allowed to see RTU in the room?
No.
Do we do a
we're
line
not
of sight
gonna
study?
As far as we were told, there is absolutely no review board in this site.
They are the.
They own this, they are,
They
Are
are,
they
the-
okay with seeing them?
they're judge and executioner for this whole thing.
they are. the-
It's like a P, I mean, is this a PD, they own the entire
They
land.
bought out the balance of that. So,
They are it. That's why they're able to pull this off in such a short time on the permitting end and so forth.
Right.
So yeah, that's cheapest, I mean, what do we actually have decent sized parapets, because we can't see our RTUs. So if we even match that, then we'll be fine. Not that we have to. And then I don't know what size those rim units are they any larger?
When you said that, I was like, John's little love and life. I was just like, oh no, you gotta use a residential one.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm like sitting there, I'm like, what? I'm like, you want me to use residential
I think
units?
John's like waiting for him to say a joke.
I was waiting.
No, I use for real because he bought too many of them.
Well, no, I thought he was talking about the RTUs.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like, how the f am I gonna get a 12.5 ton residential RTU when they only go up to 5 tons?
Oh, no. You're talking about the gas heaters.
And that's fine, but they came up and, like I said, when they changed their mind about the.
But he still wants
changes,
you to use rim at the for the RTUs, doesn't he?
That's.
Or is it a different brand?
I already put it in. No, I use. They're right there. They're not both in there.
we
use,
typically have kind of a post or ORC meeting at all, like just seeing where everybody is in a week or two to kind of pull it together.
It's been done, Kevin Payne does it,
The what?
a follow-up,
Mm,
sometimes it's for 4 hours, sometimes it's 2.
I have not been part of it.
Right, it's just a question, just to see,
Any
get
coordination
everybody
you
back
need to
together again, if we need to. I mean, again, it could be a half hour, it could be an hour, whatever, but I don't know that you need this set up necessarily. But all
I mean, I see an RTU right there, but I don't know what the parapets is right now.
There are no parapets. I mean, that's the roof there, isn't there?
Well, you see
There's
the
a bomb
beam,
beam right there.
the beam is the roof, so the parapet's not gonna.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, the corner piece will be there, but there won't be anything here.
Well, not necessarily. I think I see a beam there. Is that a bomb beam or yeah?
Yeah, that's the bomb beam,
So,
side beam, whatever.
You're gonna have a little bit of parapet over that. That's too short. We can't even get flashing over that right now. So yeah, so those parameters are too low, even when it's low.
One giant bed, that's all it is.
So our exterior walls just need to be adjusted, so we show the low and high parapets. Lost it. Is that the right of way? You're across the street, man.
I'm on the street. But there's the sidewalk, I'm not in the middle of the street.
Is that freaking actual parapet height or?
No, that's not.
I think once you pull it up.
Once you pull up a couple of feet for parapet, you should be fine.
Right.
Yeah, and you'll never see them from up close.
So what was our final out dimensions, 80?
125 floor by 80.
80?
That's the max sill. That's that max sill.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
fine.
I will say this, he says that they were done. When I called the civil guy and said, hey, send me something over, I was still working on
Of course.
it. So, like I said in the beginning of the meeting today, in progress is what we got, so we just based our building on it. They come back with something different. Ouch. So Cody,
So we're
Yes.
make sure that we're coordinated with civil on the building sides.
Drop from one
Need to be
side to the
correct,
other,
but-
if my calc's right.
Okay.
For the roof,
If they change something, you know, I definitely, once we get
they
the
can probably
full
give
blood
to you,
permit,
just right on the sections.
call civil, say, hey, so
I'm
here's
just
how
trying
much
to
stuff.
get a rough idea.
And make sure that
If my
All
calc's
lined
right,
up.
Let's say it was 8.
yeah. Quarter inch per foot.
I think I asked you that before. That's the song I heard again.
All right, so are we good then?